A grand final loss. A shattering thing. Teams work so hard to make it to the big dance. 6 months of home and away footy, coupled with grueling finals football, is hard enough. But losing it in the penultimate decider leaves clubs wondering, what if? For most, a grand final loss defines them. There has been many occurrences of teams making only a singular grand final when losing, and never getting a chance of redemption with the same core squad. That is what is shattering. Players keenly remember grand final wins. Losses, on the other hand, keep you up at night, and none more so than losses by close margins. And one such game was the 2012 grand final between the Swans and the Hawks. Heading into the game, Hawthorn was seen as the best side all season. 17 wins on the year gave them the minor premiership for the first time since 1989. The Hawks' core squad was incredible. The household names of Luke Hodge, Sam Mitchell and Jordan Lewis roamed the midfield, and the forwards of Lance Franklin and Jared Ruffhead kicked goals for fun. The dominance of the 2012 Hawthorn squad could not be understated, especially their offense. 5 players kicked 39 goals or more across the season, contributing to a staggering 2,679 total points, an almost unheard of figure in the modern AFL era. For context, the 2008 Geelong Cats, a side widely celebrated as one of the greatest offences in history, finished 7 points shy of Hawthorn's total points in the 2012 season. Feeding that forward line was a star-studded midfield that shone brightly all year. Despite skipper Luke Hodge missing 15 games, the Hawks hardly missed a beat. Jordan Lewis, Brad Sewell and Sam Mitchell carried the load through the middle, driving the team's relentless surge to the top. Mitchell, the heartbeat of the midfield, averaged 27 disposals a game and would go on to claim a Brownlow medal that sparked plenty of debate. Down back, Josh Gibson and Brent Guerra anchored a disciplined and dependable defensive unit. It wasn't just attack. Hawthorn had balance, structure and belief. From top to bottom, Clarkson's Hawks were firing on all cylinders, a machine built for September, ready to finish the job on the biggest stage of all. But then...
Ball knocked forward by Savage. Canterbury to Malchesky. Is that the grand final? Sydney are premiers.
In a game filled with bursts of intensity, the Hawks were pipped at the post by Nick Malchesky and the Swans. Momentum swung wildly, keeping fans on edge as both sides traded blows. Despite trailing by 28 points midway through the third quarter, Hawthorn's explosive offense roared to life, piling on 5 of the last 6 goals of the term to cut the margin to a singular point at the break. Riding that momentum, the Hawks hit the front early in the last quarter, but Sydney's trademark pressure was relentless, matched only by Hawthorn's admirable poise. In a gripping final term, the Swans held firm, and when the siren sounded, it was John Longmire's men who stood tall, premiers of 2012. The brown and gold was shattered. A season defined by dominance had ended in heartbreak, and what once looked like destiny now felt like failure. After working so hard to reach the decider, it seemed as though all their effort had been for nothing. But amid the disappointment, Luke Hodge's post-match speech revealed the mindset that would fuel the Hawks' redemption. To my teammates throughout the year, I couldn't be more proud of the way you fought back. With the group we've got, I know we'll be back next year. Coach Alastair Clarkson echoed that belief. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. We're shattered, but we played against a very good football team. That blend of perspective and pride had already carried the Hawks far. The previous season's preliminary final heartbreak against Collingwood had driven them to a dominant 2012 campaign. Now, the pain of another near miss would push them further still. The hunt wasn't over, it had only just begun. Alastair Clarkson had always stood by one simple value, the power of the team. From his early days of grassroots footy, those around him recognised that his greatest strength wasn't his skills or athleticism, it was how he brought people together. Inside the 4 walls of the Hawthorn Football Club, you weren't just a player on a team, you were part of a family. And when times got tough, that family worked together to pull itself out of any rut. Clarkson's role in that family? To observe, analyse and design game plans that would give the Hawks every chance to fly again. He'd done it before. The famous Clarko cluster, a revolutionary defensive zone had carried Hawthorn to the 2008 premiership against one of the greatest teams of all time. But by 2010, the competition had caught up. The system had been worked out, and the Hawks were brought back to the pack. A 1-6 start to the season left Clarkson under pressure, his coaching future questioned. Yet, true to his character, he didn't panic, he adapted. Hawthorn reshaped their game style mid-season, rediscovering their identity and storming into finals. Amid all of the outside noise, the message inside remained clear. Stick together, trust the system, and trust each other. That philosophy, born from resilience and belief, became Hawthorn's trademark. So when the heartbreak of the 2012 Grand Final hit, Clarkson turned to it once more. The Hawks had just produced one of the most dominant statistical seasons in modern AFL history, yet it still wasn't enough. How could they possibly improve? The answer was simple: get better everywhere you can. And when an aging but elite defender suddenly became available from the Western Bulldogs, Clarkson saw opportunity. Hawthorn's defense was strong, but lacked a true pillar, someone who could shut down the opposition's best forward each week. Enter Brian Lake. His move to the brown and gold raised eyebrows across the league. But to Clarkson, it was the missing piece. The mantra of constant improvement wasn't just a catchphrase, it was a blueprint. And with Lake's arrival, the Hawks' premiership puzzle was beginning to look complete. Hawthorn's loss in 2012 didn't break them, it hardened them. It strengthened their resilience to adversity and ignited a hunger deeper than ever before. The Hawks wanted redemption. They wanted the flag, and this time, nothing was going to stop them. That determination was clear from the opening rounds of 2013. Hawthorn stormed through the season with a record of 19 wins and just 3 losses, cementing themselves as the clear favourites to be premiers on the last Saturday in September. Their dominance was undeniable. Jared Ruffhead emerged as the new spearhead of the forward line, supplanting Lance Franklin as the go-to target and claiming his first Coleman medal with 68 goals. The veterans, Hodge, Mitchell, Birchall and Rioli, continued to play at an elite level, while rising stars like Brad Hill and Jack Gunston took major strides forward, transforming from promising talents into integral parts of the team's structure. But even amidst all that dominance, one question still lingered. Could the Hawks finally overcome the Kennett curse? Since their 2008 Grand Final triumph, the Hawks had lost 11 consecutive matches to their bitter rivals, the Geelong Cats. The psychological toll was undeniable. Even during the Hawthorn's near-flawless 2013 campaign, the Cats had beaten them twice. So when the finals arrived and the fixture revealed that these two clubs would meet again, this time in a preliminary final, the storyline wrote itself. If Hawthorn wanted to return to the big dance, they would first have to break this iconic curse.
Well done, Rivers, Lewis, brilliantly, Gunston, Burgoyne to put them in front. He doesn't miss, he's kicked 3.
They've won. Hawthorn have won in a stunning game of football at the MCG. Hawthorn to the grand final.
They had done it. The Hawks had finally galvanised as one to overcome their greatest hurdle. In a game of surges and momentum swings, Hawthorn delivered a complete team performance, breaking the Kennett curse once and for all, and booking their place in the grand final against the Fremantle Dockers. The brown and gold had already proven their unity, conquering the mental mountain that had loomed over them for years. But now, a new challenge awaited. Could they bury the demons of last year's heartbreak, and take that final step to reclaim premiership glory in 2013? The stage was set. The Hawks had fought through heartbreak, criticism, and the weight of expectation to earn another shot at glory. The opening quarter reflected the tension of the occasion. Both teams played nervously, fumbling under pressure, unable to convert early opportunities. Fremantle's defensive wall stood tall, but so did Hawthorn's composure. As the first term wore on, the Hawks began to settle, finding rhythm through their short, precise kicking game. A pair of goals from Gunston and Franklin gave them a small buffer, and by quarter time, Hawthorn had wrestled control. Then came the second quarter, where the Hawks' class began to shine. Sam Mitchell controlled the midfield with surgical precision. Luke Hodges' leadership steadied every contest, and Brian Lake showed exactly why Clarks had brought him in, cutting off Fremantle's attacks with intercept after intercept. By half-time, the Hawks had built a 23-point lead, their methodical ball movement slowly wearing down the Dockers' famed structure. But Fremantle refused to go quietly. In the third quarter, the Purple Haze surged. Nat Fyfe and Michael Walters inspired a comeback, and suddenly, the margin was cut to just 3 points. The Dockers were coming, and the MCG was alive with tension. Yet, just as the pressure mounted, the Hawks responded, as champions do. Jack Gunston kicked his fourth to end the term, and from there, Hawthorn never looked back. When the final siren sounded, the brown and gold army erupted. Hawthorn were premiers once again, their first since 2008. New recruit Brian Lake was awarded the Norm Smith Medal, validating his need within the side. The pain of 2012 had been erased. The demons were buried. Their redemption was complete. Hawthorn's 2013 triumph was more than just a premiership. It was a statement, a reminder that belief, unity, and resilience could turn heartbreak into history. Despite reaching the mountaintop in 2013, the Hawks' hunger never faded. The pain of 2012 still lingered deep within the walls of the club, serving as a constant reminder that success was never permanent. Hawthorn had rediscovered glory, but Alastair Clarkson knew that staying there would demand even more. As he famously said, "To remain what we are is not an option. We are seeking to become what we want." The goal wasn't just to win, it was to continue being winners. The 2014 season began with questions swirling. Lance Franklin, the face of the club for nearly a decade, had departed for Sydney. The fixture was brutal, and pundits openly wondered whether the Hawks could withstand the growing competition from Geelong, Fremantle and the Swans. But even bigger hurdles were still to come. A wave of injuries swept through the playing group, sidelining key stars for long stretches. Then came the most unexpected blow of all: Alastair Clarkson's illness. Diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome mid-season, Clarkson was forced to step away from coaching duties. And for the first time in years, the Hawks were without their leader. It would have been easy to crumble, but inside the four walls of the Hawthorn Football Club, the message was clear: look inward, trust the system, and lean on one another. The culture Clarkson had built carried them through. The players found strength in unity, drawing inspiration from the mantra that had defined them since 2010, to always get better. And get better they did. New recruit Ben McAvoy added depth and reliability in the ruck, while veterans like Hodge, Mitchell and Lewis steadied the ship in Clarkson's absence. The adversity that threatened to derail their season only made them stronger. By September, Hawthorn had reclaimed their ruthless edge, and fate, in its poetic way, had lined up a grand final against their old teammate, Lance Franklin, and the Sydney Swans. On the biggest stage of all, the Hawks were untouchable. They dominated from siren to siren, dismantling the Swans with a ferocity that bordered on perfection. Every player knew their role. Every system clicked into place. When the final siren blew, the Hawks had gone back-to-back, a 63-point demolition of Sydney marking one of the most complete grand final performances of the modern era. But even then, they weren't satisfied. 2015 brought another evolution, another challenge to stay hungry. Clarkson and his men continued their pursuit of improvement, this time bringing in James Foley to fortify the backline. Once again, the mantra remained the same: play your role. Every player, from superstar to substitute, understood that success came not from individuals, but from contribution. The results spoke for themselves. Hawthorn played with precision, unity, and an almost mechanical excellence that left opponents powerless. As one respected columnist wrote, "The Hawks aren't great because they keep on winning. They keep on winning because they are great." By the end of 2015, there were no doubts left. Hawthorn had completed the rarest of fates, a three-peat. 3 consecutive premierships built on resilience, humility, and the relentless drive to improve. From the heartbreak of 2012 to the dominance of 2015, the Hawthorn Football Club built one of the most extraordinary dynasties in the history of the game. That loss, the one that stung the most, forged a new level of hunger, unity, and resilience within the brown and gold. Hawthorn's ability to roll with the punches, learn from their mistakes, and trust the system allowed them to rise again and again, and ultimately to become three-peaters. Through every setback, every question, and every moment of doubt, the belief within the four walls of the club never wavered. As Sam Mitchell once said, "We always put our faith in our system." Their dynasty was built not just on skill or talent, but on culture, on a shared belief in one another and a refusal to yield to circumstance. From heartbreak to history, Hawthorn's rise was a testament to faith, unity, and the unbreakable power of belief. The connectedness forged through adversity had made them not just champions, but one of the greatest teams that the game had ever seen.